Hi boys and girls, it's Shane in the Vampire's Den Airbnb. We have guests arriving tomorrow and we just had to open an entire wall to take bees out. And some of you may be thinking it's a nice little hole maybe, just a few inches. No, you're gonna see. This is a very large one. So one of the things I'm concerned about is the bees trying to rehabilitate this or attracting other bees because of the smell and the pheromones. My research indicates that if I use some cleaning vinegar, or just any vinegar, that will overrule and stop any of the pheromones that exist. So I'm going to mix up a sprayer with some vinegar and some water. Here we go. Smells like vinegar. That's probably, let's do a little bit more than that. Give it a few quick pumps. Oh, there it goes. Look at it, squirt. So I'm going to get way up in there, Morty. Way up in there. And definitely up here where all the honeycomb is. We're just gonna spray that down like crazy. All up in this cavity. Now that that's done, I need to square up these holes. It'll be much easier to patch if they're more rectangular. I'll use my ocelot saw for that. I don't need this to be perfectly straight. Don't make perfect your goal when you're doing remodeling, especially when you're on a time constraint. If you make perfect your goal, you're never going to achieve it. It's never going to be perfect. There's always going to be little inconsistencies and little problems. That's okay. What matters is it better than when we started? If you set that as your goal, is it better than when you started? You can actually be happy with that goal. That's an accomplishable goal. Perfect, you're never going to achieve. You'll always be a failure. So why would you make that your goal? It's a silly goal. And if this isn't enough stress for this situation, we have a tornado watch. It looks like tornadic storms are heading our way tonight, so that's fun. Now I'm going to measure the width of this opening. 16 by 38.5. Now we're going to measure off 16 and make a mark or two. Just using my oscillating saw to mark this hardy backer. I could use sheetrock for this, but I just happen to have some hardy backer left over. And I'm just going to mark it in 3 or 4 places and then eyeball. So now, we've got it cut out with the oscillating saw. We should be able to get it sized in just a little bit high on this side. And just a tiny little bit right there to take up. And that's what we want. We want to start off just a little big and then ease into it. And that piece is fitting tight enough, it's holding itself in place without any screws even right now. Now we're just going to put some screws down both sides. To cut this, I simply use an oscillating saw to make a scratch all the way across, kind of like you would be doing drywall with a knife. Then we bend it, and it breaks right where we etch it. That's the least messy way I feel like I found to cut this. These little patches are super handy for doing small squares in drywall. It's got a metal with a self-adhesive, so it's kind of like a sticker on the back. So this will just stick, then we'll cover it in drywall compound. So I like to use a bucket scoop. And scoop, put it onto a trowel, and then we're going to place it. It's thick, and I want to mush it in at first, then we'll come back in with a little bit of tape. The old plaster is going to be a different level or a different thickness than this, but it's okay, we can work with that. We just have to plan for it a little bit. So I'm going to bring some of the new color, because this color won't quite match the previous color. So I'll bring a little bit of that up and around, and we'll bring a little bit of it over this way. Just kind of touch. That'll help to blend it together. If you ever watch Edward Scissorhands, blending is the secret. Blending, blending, blending is the secret. There are people that you could learn this better from than me. I'm not like a guy who does this every single day, but learn from someone that makes you feel good about your ability, not someone who makes you feel bad. This is not some sacred skill that's going to take you a lifetime to master. All you have to do is become good enough at it, though. It takes you longer, that's okay. There's always more than one way to do something. We don't all have to do things the same way. The world would be boring if we all did things the same way. Imagine watching your sports game and everybody has the same exact plays, the same exact skill, the same exact moves. No difference. Everybody's just the same. That sounds like a boring thing to watch. The coach calls the same plays in the same order. Variety is what makes life interesting. Get that in there nice and tight. Just like that. If I get this covered up well enough first, and then tomorrow morning I can come in and do a blending coat, and we'll be in good shape. By the time the guests arrive, it will be okay. I do it with a different color than my blue-gray that I like to use. That's all right too. We use this same color in all of our properties, so that if we have to patch something, we'll always be ready to go with it. We won't ever have to wonder if we got the paint color mixed for it or anything else. We'll just know. And there are colors I would paint the vampire den outside of this if it weren't for that, but at times like this, I'm very thankful. So this is the end of my day for today. We'll definitely have to work on this trim down here tomorrow and sealing that up, as well as blending this patch in. As it dries, it'll lighten, and then we'll come in with a lighter coat to blend it across. It's the next day. We can see the colors blending in a little bit, but we need to adjust that. So I'm going to mix up some lighter mix, and we're going to come through and bring some lighter color across. So while I wait for the final layer to dry, well, the final layer I'm going to do today to dry, we're going to go ahead and clean up this mess and then touch up the paint and some caulking there on the trim. Using a pre-moistened brush and some trim enamel. This is a water cleanup enamel, so I can use water to moisten my brush. If you're using an oil-based paint that is not water soluble, you may have to use a paint thinner of some kind to pre-wet your brush. I'm gonna go ahead and get the first layer on. This will dry really fast, and then we can do a second layer here in just a little bit and hopefully blend it enough that it's going to look okay. This is hard to do with one hand while holding my cameras. All right. Ready for the guests to arrive in just a few minutes. That was a lot of work.